Good morning and welcome to this Meet Your Future session. In these sessions, we hear from people in different roles and you have the opportunity to ask them your questions about what they do and how they got to where they are. My name is Jamie and I'm your host today. I work at the Greater Manchester Combined Authority and it's my job to help young people find out more about the different jobs and pathways that are out there available to them. One of the ways that you can do that is on the GMACS website, gmacs.co.uk, which has lots of information for young people who live in Greater Manchester. Today, though, as part of National Careers Week, we are going to hear from Emily Stoddart, who is a graduate civil engineer at Arup. Graduate means that this is Emily's first job after being at university. Emily is going to tell you a little bit about the company Arup and the different roles people can do working there. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat and we will have time at the end to answer some of your questions today. I'm now delighted to hand over to Emily Stoddart.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Jamie. So we'll make a start. So first I'm going to talk a little bit through what Arup is, who we are, what we do, the kind of roles that are available within Arup and the different routes into early careers that are available as well. Move the slide on. There we go. So these are just a few figures on the slide here to kind of indicate the scale of Arup globally and the different range of projects that we are involved in. As it says there, we've got more than 14,000 projects on the go across 146 countries. So yeah, there's a very wide range of different things that we get involved with. And these are some of our key markets. So we're not limited to these by any means, but some of the key places that we work in are the built environment, engineering and technical services and design, which is where I sit. And then we also have digital, planning, advisory and business management and services markets as well. So a little history about Arup. We were founded by Arup in 1946, and he spearheaded the philosophy of total design, which is the idea of a creative partnership between the architect and the engineer and all of the members of the design team. And when Arup gave the company over to the employees in 1970, he set out this philosophy in his key speech, and that's a really good read. If you fancy having a look at that, just Google that online. It's a really good speech that he did in 1970. And the core values which he set out in that are to ensure that the Arup name is always associated with quality, which we do by always delivering with quality and consistency, to act honestly and fairly in dealings with our staff and with others, and to enhance prosperity for all of Arup staff. So the company now is actually owned by the employees in trust. So it's not on the stock market, and as a result, we all as employees get a profit share of our profits every single year. So the Arup motto, if you like, is that we help to shape a better world, and there's a few different ways that we do this. One of those ways is that we have provided technical advice and support to disaster relief operations for over 30 years. And we have different humanitarian initiatives that you can get involved in as a member of Arup as well, working towards bettering the world. And then a little closer to home, how we shape a better world. We are committed to becoming a net zero company, and we were the lead sustainable event consultant to COP26 in Glasgow last year. We also have a lot of expertise in sustainable development, and we help our clients to work with them to develop their climate strategies and to make their projects more sustainable and work towards climate action that way as well. So I've got a few example projects here just to give an idea of some of the kind of things that we work on. So the first one was the Queensferry Crossing, which is in Edinburgh, and this was the largest infrastructure project in Scotland for a generation. We worked right from the initial stages of this project, working on the cost-benefit ratio, which kind of gives a business case to the project in the first instance. And then it was a really innovative project as well, because they installed a series of sensors across the bridge to kind of give real-time information on the structural stability of the bridge, so that maintenance can be done, which saves a lot of money and a lot of time. And then another project is the Londoner, which is in Leicester Square. And this was a hotel which was constructed 30 metres below ground level, which I'm sure you can appreciate can be quite technically challenging. But this was delivered with a 30% reduction in carbon emissions as well. So a pretty standout project. A little closer to Manchester as well, I don't have any slides on them, but we're currently working on the town hall renovation in Manchester. We did things like St Peter's Square, and I'm currently working on a project called Victoria North, which is north of Victoria Station, to deliver infrastructure and enable development there as well. So I'm going to go through some of the early career routes into Arup. So we have 3 different routes. The first one is the apprenticeship route. So we offer a wide range of apprenticeships across all UK offices, and those are in a wide range of professional disciplines. So that includes civil engineering, building services, structural engineering, rail, business and admin, project management, and many, many more. And through that route, you get constant support and guidance throughout the programme. The second one is the graduate route, which is the one that I took. Every year, Arup open the graduate programme to students with degrees in a wide range of disciplines. And again, you receive that support from day one through a framework on the graduate route as well. And then thirdly, we have the internship route, which I also actually did a placement at Arup before I started my graduate role, so I would definitely recommend that as well. And it's a great opportunity to gain first-hand experience of the company while you're still doing your studies at uni. So a quick timeline for the apprenticeship route. The applications will open from around October. And then you would be invited to virtual assessment centres and interviews from January, to then look to start around September. And then the graduate and internship recruitment timeline is very similar, but you would submit your applications from September and then be invited for assessment during December. The placement route, you can start any time from July. It's quite flexible during the summer. And then as a graduate, you would start in September. So the process of recruitment, first of all, you would fill out an online application form and then be invited to do an online questionnaire. If you're successful through this, then your application will be sent to a recruiter or a hiring manager, and they will review your application. And if you're successful through that, you'll be invited to an assessment centre. So some top tips of things to consider before you apply. The big one is research. Make sure that you understand the company and you understand the role that you're looking to do, and work out whether you are a good fit for that role as well, and whether you would enjoy it. And then some more top tips for a successful application. Include relevant skills and experience. That sometimes can feel a little bit difficult when, especially if you're, say, applying for an engineering role. But you can relate the experience that you have in other roles or in extracurricular activities to that of how you work well as a team, how you deliver good services, those kind of things. Also, avoid common mistakes. Make sure that you're answering the question that they're asking you. Be honest. There's no point in lying, because they will eventually find out, and make sure that it's personal so that it stands out to the recruiters. Double check your application, check the spelling, check the grammar, and take your time. That's a big one. You have quite a long time that you are able to kind of go back to your application and revisit it. So take that time, make sure that you're answering the question that's being asked correctly. And then the online test section. The reason why companies use these is to assess your strengths outside of your educational background. So the point of these isn't necessarily to look at your kind of technical and academic ability. It's more to see whether you are suitable to work in the workplace, how you approach problems, and how you come to solutions rather than the final answer itself. So some considerations for these: again, read the instructions carefully. Sometimes you can take a practice test before the real one, so that's definitely a good idea if you can do that. And also be prepared to finish it all in one sitting. It might be around 20 minutes that you have to do it. So, you know, be in a good environment, be ready to get that all done in the time. And I think that's all of the slides that I have today. So I'll open up to any questions.
Thank you so much, Emily. There's lots of information in that talk there. That was really, really good. We haven't had any questions published yet, but I've got a couple that I've jotted down. I was wondering if you could tell us what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis as a civil engineer. What do you get involved with?
Yeah, sure. So my day-to-day role can vary quite a lot. There's lots of different activities I get involved with. So it might be doing drawings, CAD drawings, that kind of thing. I write a lot of reports, specifications for infrastructure works. I also do quite a bit of modelling. So my role is a civil engineer and I work a lot in site development. So we do kind of utilities, drainage provision, pavement build-ups, that kind of thing. So I'll do a lot of hydraulic modelling of drainage systems, 3D modelling as well, quite a lot. So yeah, it's a big range.
It sounds it. When you say modelling, I'm guessing that means on a computer, not making physical 3D models.
Yeah, that's right. So we have different software to model different things. So basically the models that I use a lot are either 3D models to kind of work out the build-ups of things in real life in physical 3D, or also hydraulic modelling, which is where you apply rainfall to an area and put it into a drainage system and make sure that it's not going to flood, basically.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. So you're using the computer software to make sure that what you are building is safe and will work with things like that. Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, we do have a question here. I'm not sure what school this is from. Bit of a personal question here, Emily. You don't have to give an exact answer, but these young people do find this important information when they're making their choices. Can you tell us how much does a graduate engineer earn?
So that will vary depending on your office. I believe if you go to London, you'll be on a higher salary. And it also varies by discipline. So I believe, for example, an electrical engineer might earn more than me as a civil engineer because it's more of a high demand discipline. But you can expect to be on more than 25,000, I would say, as a starting salary as a graduate. I can't speak for the apprenticeship route, I'm not sure, but yeah. Excellent.
Another question from Audenshaw School. Thank you very much telling us which school you're from. Can you tell us what subjects are useful to study at A level if you're interested in engineering?
Yeah, definitely. So personally, I did maths, physics and history, but actually the only subject I needed to get into university was maths. So those other ones are definitely useful, but I think other things that I actually found during my degree that would have helped a lot was geography and potentially chemistry as well. Came up quite a lot, but yeah, I would definitely say do things that you enjoy, and if you're not sure, then just do the ones that you enjoy. If you think engineering might be one for you, then I would definitely choose maths, but other than that, go for things that you enjoy.
Fantastic. And then was it engineering that you studied at university?
Yeah, so I did civil engineering I did an integrated master's degree, so that was 4 years integrated in civil engineering.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, we are at 8:45. So what I'm going to do, if anybody wants to log off, then obviously then you need to go. Teachers, there is a feedback form that I'm publishing now. If you are able to just give us a little bit of feedback on the session this morning, that would be absolutely fantastic. But Emily, we've still got quite a few people watching. So are you happy to carry on for a little bit? Would that be okay? Fantastic. That's lovely. Thank you so much. I was wondering, you are obviously you've mentioned the different types of engineers. There's electrical engineers, civil engineers. There's lots of others as well, mechanical engineers, and so on. Can you tell us a little bit about what civil engineering actually means?
Yeah, of course. So civil engineering is quite wide ranging. So what I do, as I said, is site development focused, but you can also go into things like geotechnical engineering. So that's to do with the ground. So they'll design foundations, they'll design tunnels, those kind of things. There's also mechanical engineering, which is in Arup is more the building services. So you're doing all of the kind of working parts of a building. There's structural engineering, but yeah, civil engineering itself, you can also go into kind of rail, transport. There's a lot of different areas, water as well. So there's not really one defined definition of civil engineering. I think that's also why I really enjoyed it, because there's a lot of different routes that you can take with it. It's not just one thing. And during, if you do decide to do it at uni, you'll kind of get a taste of all of those different things, and then you can kind of decide which route you would prefer to go down out of those.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Sounds like it's a very varied job, and I believe, Emily, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe companies are crying out for engineers at the moment. That engineers are very much in demand.
Yeah, I believe so. I think there is a lot of demand for engineers, and it's a role that is always going to be needed. We'll always need engineers in the world, so it's definitely a good kind of career to get into, I think.
Thank you very much. We've got a question from St. Monica's in Bury. What makes Arup stand out compared to other engineering companies?
Yeah, so for me, why I really wanted to join Arup was their ethos of sustainability, and we have a lot of technical expertise in that area. And although I don't work directly in sustainability, I have been able to make the most of that even in the year since I've been here so far. And yeah, that's what really stood out to me. And yeah, I think also from doing my placement here, I just realised that there was a lot of very nice, very clever people, and just a really nice environment to work in. So that's why I came back, really.
That's lovely. Why did you want to be an engineer?
So I was always interested in kind of maths and physics, but I also really enjoyed designing things and kind of more creative subjects at school. And this was kind of a way to combine the two, really. And I never really knew what engineering was, and I did a little bit of research and kind of worked out that civil engineering was the one that would mean kind of building things in the real world of buildings and infrastructure and stuff, which really kind of floated my boat quite a lot, as opposed to kind of mechanical engineering, where you might be more, it's more industrial, more kind of engines and that kind of thing, which also really interested me too. But I think civil engineering was, yeah, stood out to me more.
That's really interesting. I want to come back to something that you mentioned there, but we've just got a question from Alder Hill School. What GCSE options did you pick?
Oh, that's going back a bit now. I did, so I had to do a language, so I did French, and then I did history, art and drama, actually, as my three choices, obviously outside of the kind of core subjects that I had to do.
Brilliant. Okay, well, what I wanted to pick up on was the fact that you said that engineering is quite creative. And I think that's really, really interesting, because a lot of people, I think, when they think of engineering, they don't necessarily think that it is creative. And then you just mentioned that you took drama then as a GCSE option, so you obviously do have a creative flair, and you do use that in your as an engineer, do you?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's not the most creative kind of career that you can go into. Obviously, there's a lot more creative things that you can do as well. But for me, that creative side of it, of you're designing something at the end of the day, so there is that creative aspect to it, and you can kind of run with that as much as you want to. And a company like Arup will let you kind of fit into a role where that suits your skill set. So for me, I've been able to kind of use that quite a lot in my role so far. And yeah, it's definitely an asset to have, I think, going into engineering if you've got a bit of a creative mind as well.
That's really, really interesting. Thank you ever so much. Okay, one last question then. You obviously went through the graduate route, which means that you studied engineering at university. Was that for 4 years? Did you do that?
Yeah, 4 years.
So you did 4 years at university studying engineering, and then became a graduate engineer at Arup. What do you think that the university route gave you? Because there are other routes into it as well. People can be apprenticeships, which means that you skip out the university stage and you do training on the job. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Just wondering if you could, I don't know, just discuss a little bit more of the differences, and what do you think, perhaps, are there pros and cons to each route?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't say that either route is better or worse than the other. I think it really depends on the person. I wanted to go to uni, and so that's the route that I chose. Obviously, if you do a degree, you come in with that kind of elevated technical ability, but less of the workplace kind of knowledge, that the experience that you get through work. So yeah, that's one route. But then the apprenticeship route, I think, is really valuable as well, because you continue to learn. So you continue to go to college or uni while you're doing your job. So you have that kind of the experience on the job and the experience from your education at the same time, which I think can really complement each other. And you still have the same kind of prospects after you've got that qualification as a graduate engineer would. So yeah, I think it really just depends on what you personally would prefer to do. But I really enjoyed my time at uni, so yeah. That's
lovely. Thank you ever so much. Right, Emily, I think we will end the session there. Thank you ever so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. On behalf of all the schools that were watching today. So if you want any more information about apprenticeships and university and things like that, please do check out the GMACS website, gmacs.co.uk. And thank you ever so much for joining us, and we hope you have a lovely day, and we hope you enjoy the rest of National Careers Week. Thank you ever so much.